Welcome to Squatch DTV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch DTV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch DTV for today's date, July 6th, 2025. Good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch DTV for today's date, July 6th, 2025. Good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch DTV.
We have an echo.
For today's date, July 6th, 2025. Good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch DTV.
We have an echo.
For today's date, July 6th, 2025. Cyberspace.
We'll be right back. We have an echo.
Today's date, July 6th, 2025. Cyberspace.
We'll be right back. Let me mute everybody out here. Okay, I think maybe it's coming from Brian's mic. Yeah, let me mute everybody out here. Okay, I think maybe it's coming from Brian's mic. Yeah, let me mute everybody out here. I think it's coming from Brian's mic. Something's going on in the background, Brian. I don't know what. Or we got a setting issue. Steve's working on it. So you guys just bear in the background, Brian. I don't know. Or we got a setting issue. Steve's working on it. So you
No, I'm not working on it.
Brian, I don't know.
I'm gonna leave the studio.
Or we got a setting issue. Steve's working on it.
Hang on.
No, that's it. It's coming through Brian's mic somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
It was like all of a sudden I heard myself a little more than I probably should have.
No, it wasn't just you, baby. It was cycling, echoing through. It's like, oh wow, we're in the Twilight Zone. Wonderful way. Hello, everybody. It's a wonderful.
Now batting. Manny, Moda. Well, anyway, good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch DTV for today's day, July 6th. And we're going to let Brian back in and see what happens.
What happened was, that was weird.
That was strange. The gremlins are working on us tonight.
Makes you wonder, maybe I was hacked and somebody didn't want the show to happen and they were trying to shut us down.
Those men in black again.
Chris, tinfoil hat time.
those men in black, they're at it again.
As always.
Damn them.
Well, anyway, folks, we got we'll skip with all the normal gobbledygook, and we'll just skip right to the show. We got a heck of a show tonight. And to me, a very serious thing. Because there's a lot of times, I think, when as researchers, and there's a line sometimes between being a podcaster or a show host and being a researcher, because sometimes you'll have people on that, you're kind of skeptical about yourself, but you want to let them say what they need to say. But there are times when you can only take so much and only let yourself fall for so much.
How did I get top billing, Steve?
You got promoted, Chris. You didn't even know it.
I had no idea.
Hang on a second.
Oh, I got demoted. Daggone.
It happens to the best of us, man.
That's better. I feel, in the middle of the road here.
So, inevitably what happens is that when you take on hoaxers, and me doing this for almost since 2005, I've been taking on hoaxers, 2003, 2005, pretty much. And it gets a little dicey sometimes. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Now, we got a whole heck of a bunch of people in chat tonight. And rather than doing our usual roll call, because we have people from chat from both Brian's show and our show. So we got a lot of people in the old queue tonight.
Welcome,
all welcome. Troy Two Fingers. I like
What's
that
up,
name.
Troy? That's my buddy in Tennessee. What's up, man?
So sometimes we take a lot of guff. And so how this all started, and I'll let Brian, of course, Brian has been on our show a number of times, and he's a good friend of ours, and it's great to have him back on. And he's kind of gotten the center of this, I think, pretty inadvertently.
That happens to me sometimes.
Well, you got a popular show, and that you say one thing, and certain people get very oversensitive. And I'm sure you know who is watching this tonight as well, because the show has been properly advertised.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? How's your mama, Neil?
How this all started was I don't know how long ago it was, Chris. We cut a video and we did a podcast on Sasquatch Ontario, Mike Patterson's Bigfoot faces and how he jumped the shark. Basically. Nobody was believing this. A lot of people were like, what the heck? This is a mask.
Yeah.
Well, as it turned out, and first I got to put up our typical disclaimers that, we are now DMCA protected. We now have I now have a DMCA registration. So, but I have very lenient rules as far as the use of our stuff. So this is our typical legalese slide now. We're going to skip over my events. We're going to go right to the topic. We'll do the events at the end of the show.
Bigfoot Society, new member, welcome. Thank you.
What happened was there was a gentleman, we believe it's a gentleman on Reddit. What was his name again? Be Gay, Find Cryptids, which is kind of
we're not related. Just so you guys know, we're not related.
What was that? Run that by me one more time, Steve.
The screen name user was Be Gay, Find Cryptids.
Okay.
Which kind of is a strange screen name, but but he claimed to have found the actual mask. That Patterson claimed that nobody would ever find the mask. Of course not, because it was modified, and we all kind of figured in looking at the original photo of it. The original photo of it, it does look like it is painted. Because it's kind of got that shine to it.
Yeah.
Right.
A little gloss there. Yeah.
You probably should have used a better flat paint.
Maybe Bigfoot's using oil of Olay. Have that nice glow.
It can help you look younger too.
Yes. But there it is, the mask in the mask. And there, he claimed to have found it using Google Lens. And I think I probably saw this mask a while back, and I said, damn, that's close, but I don't know. But, there might have been some modifications. Paint. Yeah, a little spray paint kind of throws it off a little bit.
Yeah, check out the shape of that nostril on the nose. Perfect.
And the ears.
Exact. Yes, exact.
And, you got to also understand there's an angle too. So that may be a little difference with the brow line, but the brows do look kind of very similar to what you see. You see one, the one on the left is curved upward. And when I say left, the left side is actually on the right side.
Yeah.
The right eye is on the left, and that kind of looks more flat.
Yes.
So it's a damn good match.
Yes.
A damn good match. Just a little paint. And
shoe polish, that would work too.
And then, of course, we have a guy we've been at odds with every once in a while, Todd Gatewood, but he did do a translucency series of pictures. This is one of them posted it on Facebook, and hey, I'll give credit to where credit's due. That was a great job. I'm not gonna say it wasn't. Hey, that was pretty smart thing to do. Of course, I was busy doing other things during this whole time it was discovered. Probably something I would have done too. But hey, I'll give credit to Todd. Todd was the first to do it. Amen. Todd even says that the cleaned up image here is a perfect example of super resolution where the AI hallucinates a bit. Original upscaling, but there is with 100% opacity, you can see there is quite a lot of matching stuff. Yeah. So I think we have found the winner here.
Yep. Yeah, and I want to go out. I would say this from the jump. What I did when I took the original photo that you're showing there with the comparison to the mask, I did run it through an AI program to enhance the photo and bring it up. And the AI did fill in some of the gaps there, and it looks way more spot on with the mask after the AI. That's my bad. I've admitted on my show, and I'm doing it now publicly. I should have stayed away from AI completely, and I should have done more of what Todd's doing here, this example with the opacity and overlays and those kind of things. I was just stoked, and I just couldn't believe that when I posted the original in comparison with the mask, that people were just like, oh, I don't see it. The teeth kind of look the same. Well, it's clear it's the same freaking mask. Right. The teeth are off. If you look at the original photo carefully, there's something under the mask. You can see it under the mouth there. It's some kind of a hairy blanket or something that it's resting on or up over.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
It's cutting off the right part of the mouth. That's why the mouth part and the teeth look different in the photo. It's almost impossible to see that black piece that's laying there.
Yeah, it's almost like a black cape.
Exactly. And if you do the contrast, if you up the contrast on it and make it a lot lighter, you can see it 100%. So it's clearly blocking that side of the mouth. That's why the mouth looks a little wonky in the original Nefertia Face of Sasquatch photo versus I made balloons, versus the mask that you see. That's what's doing it. There's something blocking that part of the mouth. And I bet you it's there purposely to do that so that when we have this conversation 2 years later, it looks different enough for people to go, the mouth is off. I don't believe it's a mask. That's what it is.
Now, you know what? I think I should have balloons fly up like that every time I pass gas on the show without anybody knowing. But, it would just be like a constant balloon wall. Anyway, I'm sorry. When I saw the balloons go up, that's all I could think of. It's like, oh, somebody. But yes, you're exactly right. That that cape is there, or that cloth is there to obstruct. And I think, and this is, believe it or not, the picture that you're seeing, I did upscale the brightness to it. And that's why you can see it as clear as you can on that photo. The original photo, that's an upscaled one. I'm trying to think. There is your non-upscaled one. And you can see how it can be very convoluted. Actually, that's the two pictures. You can see how convoluted that can be, that you think you're looking at something without. But if you look closely, what is that in front of them there? Because that is obviously, if you look at the bottom of the brown fence line, that's something obviously protruding over the fence line. And so you can explain that. Yeah, I mean, all right, the towel thrown over the rail, that you can explain, but isn't it a coincidence that you have this black velvety cloth right under the face of the Bigfoot? I smell a hoax. So yeah. So let's get into what Mr. Patterson said in a public response. And this is where things start to become a little important, because at the end of all of this, and unfortunately, Brian became the focus of attack from Mike Patterson. We're here to talk about
Of
that.
course.
And what he said to Brian was, I looked at it, it was disgusting. To attack somebody very sublimely like he did, somebody's personal preferences or whatever, or how they live, that is totally unacceptable and not acceptable in any book. So we're going to show exactly what that is in a second. But this is what Patterson had to say. I expect to be on a blocking mission with this, as I've been there, done that far too much already with the persistent hoax accusations over the years, including from your own partner, I might add, too, Wayne, aka Daryl or whatever, when him and had the tiff a few years back where Wayne said, "Hey, Daryl, it's been me the whole time," and he went on and did the same voice saying, "I'm not real."
Yep.
I'll admit this does not help me. Here's a very interesting phrase. And as I'm reading this as a trained forensic interviewer and interrogator, I found this a very interesting comment. I'll admit this does not help my cause at all. It's very interesting. But I can assure you that regardless of the similarities, so you have some acknowledgement there are similarities, these are not the same. Yeah, that wasn't my car you saw in the video. That was one that looked like it. Well, that was missing the same hubcap.
Well, I would agree with what he said there, Steve. These two masks are not the same masks. They are different masks, completely different masks. So, he is telling some truth there. He didn't use that same mask that's not been painted or put shoe polish on it. He used the one that he doctored up.
Yeah, and you can't use that one because I'm purchasing that one. It's coming to me from Canada, so it's going to be mine. All mine.
Oh, my God.
But that's very interesting. I'll admit, this does not help my cause, which is an acknowledgement.
His cause.
His cause.
Yeah.
So he does have an agenda. There's actually two headshots with a difference in facial expressions.
AKA the black satin that changes the look of the mouth is what he's talking about.
Right.
Let's be clear on that.
Yep. But those who accuse never look at all the facts. What facts? What facts? They pick and choose what suits their agenda. It's been the same with the whole with the vocals and anything else over the years. They can jump on and try to paint this as a hoax. Very interesting. He used the word paint. Freudian slip there, perhaps.
Interesting.
Many think over the years that I'm either hoaxing or being hoaxed. Don't insult my intelligence. See, now that was a conversation I think you had with C. Wayne a little bit. That Wayne believes he's 100% all in, and you're kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt. But we're going to get to that in the end, because on the backside of this, we're going to take this statement and that horrid statement he wrote you, and we're going to psychoanalyze those real quick, and we're going to come up with a determination whether or not he's in or not. I've had well over 1,000 encounter incidents with Neff's family. I've watched a marble slowly appear from nothing in front of my face, suspended in the air as they pushed it through from another dimension.
Oh,
I have the audio reaction as I was recording outside with the window open. So again, you have no evidence. You just have you yourself on. Oh my God, look,
it's a marble.
Oh my God, look,
Yes.
Chris, something's going to give me an energy drink. Look, it's coming through the portal. Oh, it's an energy drink.
Oh, yeah, that proves it. It proves it.
There, we've even provided you video that the energy drink came from a portal. I'm sorry. It's just,
it's nonsense. Well, the thing is, first of all, I can't believe this guy has hoaxed anybody. All right, this is just, it's utter. If you've ever had a sighting, you look at this stuff and you know how ridiculous this is. But he has hoaxed the gullible, the people that want to believe, that have not had a sighting, that are holding on tooth and nail for any little shred of evidence that may be Bigfoot. And that's the ones he's preying on. Right. And I can't stand that. Dude, you're a scumbag. You know that? You are a scumbag. Chris Bennett don't never say stuff like that.
No, he doesn't. It's like, what?
But, you are a hoaxer preying on people that are innocent and want to believe, and you're using that against them. You are a scumbag. I do not like you, young man. Stop it. Stop it.
And you're going to like him less after you see what he sent to Brian. He talks about the audio recordings. I have a library built up of vocalizations from multiple family members, and the majority of from Neff over the years. Hundreds of hours of activity recorded. Wow, I see the scientists are really rushing to you. He talks about prints. He talks about countless incidents of physical contact. Countless apports. I know what an apportment is something just appearing. He goes on to talk more about that. I recently been given analysis on some actual hard evidence to support the activity from their abilities, which I'll post when I put it together. Oh, we're all on the edge of our seat waiting for that. So anyone, here we go. So anyone that believes that the mask is Neff, please remove yourself. So anyone that believes that mask is Neff, please remove yourself, as I do not wish to associate with anyone who, after all this time, loses their trust. I think...
he didn't want to associate anyone that figured him out.
I have been 100% truthful since day one. Zero embellishment, and as stated, don't insult my intelligence that you think I'm being hoaxed. After all I've witnessed during the last dozen years of documenting my journey.
No, you've not been.
Brian, we'll talk about the conversation you had with him, where he comes out and basically tells you that
he's not been hoaxed. He's a liar. He's been lying for the last dozen years.
And I think, I really think, Brian, you were trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and even talk to him, and this was kind of his response.
100%, he doubled down.
And usually when you double down, that means you're one of the involved parties. There's no need for embellishment. Well, there isn't, because you've already embellished your evidence. Or lies in situations that have so much activity that it's been a catalyst for helping change the face of this subject altogether. Wow. Go ahead and date when the interdimensional door to their activity got kicked wide open. You're welcome. Perhaps he's never heard of Kiwani lapsaritis.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Beckchard.
Mm-hmm.
Ron
Moorhead,
Matt Johnson. Yeah. This is just another bump in the road in this journey, one of many that have been overcome over the years. Personally, I'd like to see the actual mask, considering how easy it likely is for someone to take Neff's image, manipulate it, and create that photo. Oh, I think, Brian, you're going to be doing that. I love it. Can't wait to see it.
This guy, man. I can smell.
AI is insane these days. I'd like to see the proof of it being able to purchase. Ooh. So far, all I see is the mask on a table. Where's the website to purchase it?
Let me address this before we go any further. I've had a couple of people reach out to me privately today and publicly in comments on actually one of the posts that I made in a group about this show tonight to have people join us here. People were asking me, hey, you're just making Mr. Mike Patterson has never done anything nefarious. Why are you accusing him of this? We want to see the link to where you can purchase this mask. Well, let me tell you something. I'm not putting the link out there. It's been put out there before. You can find it. I don't want people bugging the shit out of this dude who actually has the mask before he's going to actually send it to me and complete the purchase. So I'm trying to buffer him as much as possible because I know people have already asked him questions about this mask already since I inquired about it. So there's no qualms about it. It's a real mask. I'm purchasing the mask. I'm going to show it to you plenty of times when I have it in my possession, but I'm not going to put up the link so that everybody that's on Mike Patterson's team and his yahoos reaching out to this dude and scaring him off or whatever the case may be. I want the mask. I want to purchase the mask. I've already made the deal with the guy. He's just out of town. He's going to be back on the 11th. He's going to be home. He's going to go figure out how much it's going to cost to ship it. I'm going to complete the purchase, and the mask will eventually make it from Canada to me here in North Carolina. And as soon as that happens, I'm going to document the entire process because I am going to take said mask. I'm going to figure out how he dyed it black or painted it black. And I'm going to recreate as closely as I possibly can these bullshit photos that he's got out there saying that they're the face of Neff. That's what's going to happen. So he'll just get the mask soon. And I'm pretty sure that if I'm documenting this in video form, it's going to be very difficult for me to fake that with an AI video of me holding this mask that now tons of people have seen. So it's just one of those desperate attempts. Obviously, there's so much that I can read into all of those words. There's tales there all over the place. He's caught. It's clear that he's caught.
Yes.
And he's upset about it. He's raring up, and that's what people do when they get caught.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
100%.
He's a professional liar, and he's backed in the corner because he's been exposed. And what do professional liars do after they've been exposed? They run it right to the edge of the cliff, man. I'm 100% right. You know, you're lying because I'm true. I wouldn't lie. And then, until they fall off the edge of the cliff, and then there's no way back. Okay.
You know what? I've never seen Chris so amped up.
Well,
he read the show notes, and since he's read the show notes, he's been letting it come out of that chair and reach through the screen to grab Mike.
I'm sorry. I apologize. This is not my normal character, and but sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. This guy is a hoaxer, and I can't believe he's hoaxed anybody. But there are, I can understand there are people that are so eager and so willing to grasp at the least little thing that could be Bigfoot, and he's taking advantage of that. And what the guy is doing, he's surrounded himself with idiots, and now he's patting himself on the back because he feels like the smartest guy in the room. Well, you're not, young man. You are not.
Way before I ever became a full-time podcaster, I was in management after my law enforcement career. I managed people for many years. And I learned from a good manager long ago to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you if you truly want to be successful.
Yes.
I've always tried to do that, but it is, to your point, Chris, exactly what he's done. He's got 85,000 subscribers on that YouTube channel, eating out of his hand, hook, line, and sinker. Right. And I'm not calling those people stupid. I'm saying that they're gullible. I think they are influenced by the things that he puts out there. They take it as the gospel, and that is part of what people do. It's very much like David Koresh. It is a very cult leader type of mentality and approach to Bigfoot as a subject. You mentioned it earlier, Steve. Matthew Johnson is another cult leader. If you've ever heard him speak in public, the way he talks to the audience, he is David Koresh.
Talks down to people.
Exactly. He talks down to people. He threatens people. He uses his physical stature to intimidate people. Classic cult leader mentality. And Mike is the classic cult leader. I am the enlightened one. None of you know anything unless I tell you. And if you disagree with what I say, you're simply not enlightened.
That's right. There's the door.
Yeah, Sasquatch doesn't want you to know because they're giving it to me. And the only way you get it is soaking it through me. So watch my videos, let me make money, and let me be the cult leader I was born to be.
Yes.
Or in Matt Johnson's case, buy my books.
Yes.
Or
regarding Bigfoot, I
shouldn't talk. I tell people to buy my books all the time.
Hey, I have 2 books out there. You can go find those anywhere you find books.
Yay!
Anywhere you can find books, you'll find my books.
Specifically, look on Amazon and give us some titles, Brian.
Yeah, it says, if you read this verbatim, the way it is, and I have one last paragraph to read, which will come up in our analysis.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you look at again, that statement that if you think that this mask is the Neff, is what I photograph, then out the door you go. And that's a big problem, because people join these communities to want to belong. Now you're being threatened. If I go against the tide of this black and white type of thinking,
right,
without having an opinion, I'm not allowed to have an opinion that differs from the leader. Yeah. Otherwise, I will be excommunicated from this community I've been talking to for a few years.
Right.
Another huge red flag, because anybody who's trying to learn anything about anything, in particular Bigfoot, as we're talking about tonight, I say it all the time. I want to have conversations with people who I disagree with. That's where the learning happens. I don't agree with anything Ron Moorhead says about Bigfoot, but I love having conversations with him because I walk away scratching my head. There are
and he's a nice guy too.
He's a nice guy. I don't agree with a lot of things that happen in the Bigfoot community with a lot of people, but I have a ton of friends that I disagree with on a regular basis. But again, it's that cult mentality. If you don't believe what I believe, if you believe anything that's contrary to what I'm telling you, you got to go. And that's a big red flag for anybody who's in that situation. It's a big red flag in a relationship, and it's a big red flag in a fucking Bigfoot group. Sorry, I almost said that.
I was going to bring that up, Steve.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Now, well, you say it's funny how all the hoaxers have a ton of subscribers. I'm not surprised, because your hoaxers are in essence little mini cult leaders. They have to develop this cult. Remember how many followers Rick Dyer had? Not just the first time, but the second time. Even though he was proven to be a huge hoaxer in 2008, he made a comeback in 2012, 2013. How did he do that? How did he manage to do that? Fortunately, it's not working for his advantage this time around, at least not too many, maybe a few. But every single hoaxer has this cult-like mentality that you either toe the line or you're out. And once you start joining the community, you join innocuously. You don't know this guy's fights. Oh, this is pretty cool. And then, of course, they engage with you. Oh, wow, they're talking to me. Yeah, cool. And then it turns. It's a matter of control. And this is exactly how you control. There's one great example of how he's trying to control what people think. You either believe that this mask is not what I photographed, or you're out of here. And he starts off by saying, I looks like I'm going on a blocking mission. So, right. So anybody that questions him, you're going to be out.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
He blocked me on Facebook.
But unlike a lot of people who join these communities that get invested in them, like Chris gets mad with me occasionally when I ban a few folks for what they say in chat, but we've had this conversation that I don't ban people for disagreeing with me. Yeah. I have, there's a certain individual, Brian, that you and I talked to. I banned him because he would say things about the podcast and how, and just be disruptive. So if they're disruptive, they're gone. And they start fights with other people, they're gone.
I've had conversations. My Bigfoot Encounters and Field Research group on Facebook has about 12,500 members at this point. And some of my moderators and admins I've had to get onto privately because they've blocked people and banned them who were disagreeing with me. And they're talking about you. They're talking about your evidence. They're talking about your cast from your property, and they're calling you a liar. I am perfectly fine with that. Unfrickin' block them, re-invite them back, and let's have the conversation. I've done that multiple times. I do not want to censor people's ability to disagree with me. I welcome it. And I think if you're not doing that, people should look at you and go, there's something about that guy I can't put my finger on, but I'm not sure about him. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm not perfect by any means. I'm not. But I do keep an open dialogue in my group, on my show, and anywhere I'm a guest. So,
well, yeah, that makes sense. Don't forget those who criticize you. Well, I haven't banned anybody for that. I've gotten mad at him pretty much. But that's the only black and white thing is my music, damn it. Anyway.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, I have no
constructive criticism is one thing. Doing it to be
or
mean
debate
is
one thing. But you know, how many times do I end up shutting somebody down on a comment because they say, well, I really disagree with you said about Steve Isdall when he did the Isdall show. And then they start going on a diatribe of this and that and what I'm doing wrong, or they go on a diatribe that's personal. You know, well, you're just jealous because, well, guess what? Boom, goodbye. You're done. You know, I'm not jealous by any means. What have I got to be jealous for? You know, everybody thinks for some reason in the YouTube world anyway, everybody thinks that subscriber count and views are, you know, what everybody's after. You know, what I'm after is getting an education, the word out there, but I digress. So that's the difference between these folks and those folks.
We want the people that want the truth.
Right.
That's what we want. If you're looking for a made up fictional story, you're not going to find that here.
And that's one of the things that I told Mike privately. I was simultaneously posting on Facebook about this mask that had been found by this Reddit user. And I was also sending Mike direct messages on Facebook wanting his response to it, saying, look, dude, I posted this. We found the mask. What say you, basically? And I told him, I am not after you personally, dude. I don't know you personally, so I don't have any beef with you personally. I've never had a beef personally with Todd Standing or anybody that I've ever called out on the show. Matthew Johnson, the list goes on. I am simply looking for the truth. You have purported this to be a piece of evidence related to Sasquatch, and I am very interested in that subject, and I have a platform to have this discussion with people. I'm simply looking for the truth and where the truth lies in all of this. It's not a personal attack on you. It's not. It's never been personal about any of these hoaxers. It's always been about what they've presented, what they've said, and how they've done it. And Mike is no exception to that. So it's never personal. But if you make it personal with me, that's your choice. I'm just not going to go there.
Well, what they're doing, though, is evil. I mean, you're taking advantage of people that want to believe, that are desperate to believe. And by playing your little pretend evidence game, and gaining followers for doing that, well, yeah, you're making money out of it. You're using people's gullibility against them to profit from. That's just evil.
Let me read this quote from Kaiju Ninja 1985. Brian, he's not going to reveal himself. It's not worth it, dude. No, it is worth it. If you know anything about interview and interrogation, you put these motives out there to see if they will take the bait, to see if they're really that far in. And I think what Brian learned was that he's all in.
100%.
Right?
All in.
Right, where Brian had some reservation before that. Well, maybe he is being duped. And then Brian puts that out there. Listen, maybe you're being, can you even explore that possibility? No. I'm, you think I'm not stupid? You're going to insult my intelligence. And that particular phrase, do you think, are you insulting my intelligence by suggesting that? That in of itself is a very telling phrase. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to get on to this next bit of the private response that he sent to you. There was a public response, but you see the type of person he is in private. And, I don't want to even say what he necessarily said in this, but if it's okay with you, Brian, I'll read this verbatim. And again, I apologize for even having to read this crap, but I think it needs to be exposed to the people what kind of person he is.
Absolutely.
And he says, his private comment is, I understand now that picture says everything. You're a little attention whore. You're a little challenged boy child striving for attention who has an obsession with masks for at the least the last couple of years. I have people that help me. I know how to use AI as well. That's an interesting thought. Nice try. You might want to work on the teeth. I know you're crying for attention, looking for subscribers, and I'm sorry, it's just not happening for you. But to attack someone else is a very pathetic way to show you need some help. Perhaps your boyfriend can give you some life lessons. Don't worry, I won't give you the attention you're crying for, little boy, and I use that term very loosely. Try cutting back on those estrogen supplements. We know who doesn't wear the pants in your family. You'd scream like a little girl experiencing what I have, but of course, that's nothing new with you.
There's a little context missing here that I want to point out for you guys that may help set the table for this a little bit. When he refers to, I understand this picture says everything, you're a little attention whore. It was a picture that I posted of me and my husband from our 9th wedding anniversary on my personal Facebook page. There was a screenshot of that. It was a collage of photos from our wedding day and things like that. We've been together 17 years. We've been married for 9 of those 17 years. That's the photo that he's talking about that I posted on my Facebook page on our anniversary back in May. And clearly that registered that I was some sort of an attention whore striving for attention somehow. I'm not sure.
No. This goes right along with the type of guy this is, Brian. He's using any information he could dig up on you for a personal attack. And he's using things and saying things that he thought would hurt you, okay, inside. And, just all he's done basically is expose himself for exactly what he is. But that's what these people do, man. That was just a personal attack. And as soon as he did that, I mean, he's already lost. He's already lost. But these guys, they think they're so sharp, but all they are is just one big logical fallacy, and they're easy. You can read them like a book. You can read them like a book.
Yep. I just think to do what he did, and it's borderline homophobic.
Borderline.
Borderline. Well, it's the estrogen supplement comment. Yeah. Calling you a whore, even though an attention whore, calling you a little boy and and wearing pants and all that other stuff. Yeah. It's very emasculating. Let me just say that.
Well, I did assure him in the messages that I responded to, which we don't have here, unfortunately. I don't think they're ready for prime time because there were a few choice words that probably aren't family friendly in those responses. But in a nutshell, I told him that I felt like he was a keyboard warrior and that if we were sitting in the same room, he would see there was no estrogen in my system. And I doubt that he would say very few of the things that he had to type on the Facebook Messenger. So,
oh man.
Right.
Oh boy.
Harry Kyle Jr. says, Brian, Mike needs to learn from you, learn to disagree, yet maintain a level of respect. That's not in his DNA.
No.
It's not going to happen.
We alluded to it a little while ago, Stephen. We can get into it whenever, but I did, even after these comments, I let it sit for 24 hours. and I woke up the next day. He actually sent these to me after he had blocked me. He unblocked me on Facebook so he could send these messages. And then he blocked me again. And then he unblocked me on Facebook to send me an apology, basically. Well, there wasn't basically, it was a backhanded apology saying, basically, I pushed him into a corner. He's been dealing with this for over a decade. And he responded because I was calling him a liar and a hoaxer. And just because he said those things to me doesn't mean that's the person that he really is. It's not necessarily his real personality.
That's him. Yeah.
And even after all that, I said to him, look, dude, this is 24 hours ago, mind you. I've had a change of heart because I've gotten new information in the last 24 hours about him. But at that time, I said, look, dude, again, it's not personal. I'm just saying to you, if you were not involved, because the photographs that we're talking about with this mask, Mike didn't take those photos. Dwayne did, or whatever the hell his name is, took those photos and sent them to Mike. So I said to him, it is a possibility, in my opinion, that you are being hoaxed here. And if that's the case, really sit with that and take a look at all the evidence. The photos, the videos, the footprints, any and everything that you've ever produced, the vocalizations, and tell me what was the common denominator, right? Was it Dwayne involved? Was it his camera? Was it his audio? Was it something he pointed out? Was he right there when you found the footprint?
Yeah.
I believe all the answers are yes. So if that's the case, why don't you just come clean? It's okay to see that you have been you've been hoodwinked, you've been duped, you've been hoaxed.
Yeah.
I gave him every opportunity. And the only thing he did was double down on the hoax and tell me about the 1,000 times he's had these experiences and all the materializing marbles. So I saw at that point there was no hope. And then I got some more information about some of the things in his past and some of the other indicators. And he's all in, and I'm all in on the fact that he's in on the hoax.
Well, that was very clever of you, Brian. You allowed him, you were giving him a way out to save face. He could just simply admit, rather than saying, right, yes, you're right, I'm the hoaxer. You were giving him a way out. He could say, well, it is possible I could have been hoaxed. But, the fact is, and I think that it's evident from his reaction, you've exposed the hoaxer. And he's really angry about it.
Well, that's classic. That's classic interview techniques.
Right.
If you've got somebody in the room for murder, you want to get them to admit to the murder, but sometimes you got to get them to admit to something else before you can get to that point. You give them an out. Maybe it wasn't your idea. Maybe it was Joe's idea, and you just happened to be in the car.
Maybe it was an accident. The firearm went off by itself. It just went off. And
you didn't mean to kill her. You just wanted to hurt her. You just wanted to push her down and
scare her. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you just wanted to scare her.
Leave them a way out. And if they choose that way out, well, you know something. If they choose to double down, then you really know something.
Yeah, he's not taking the easy road. He's going to ride this train because, frankly, it's for all the things that you guys have already said. Steve said it earlier. This is tied to his livelihood. He's got a save face after more than a decade of putting this stuff out every single week, telling people all of these things, having these lives that he's done recently with Dwayne, where Dwayne's on camera and they're having all of these experiences. He, at this point, literally cannot let go of the hoax and save any face for him. So in that aspect of it, I get it, but it doesn't make it right. At some point in time, you got to just admit the gig's up, dude. You've been caught, plain and simple. This guy, whoever it is that found this mask on Reddit and posted about it, it's out there, and I'm purchasing it. I'm going to have it in my hands. It is 100% the mask that's in those photos. Neff and everything that's ever come out of that's involved him and Dwayne is 100% BS.
Well, I really love dealing with this type of people because they'll dig in and they'll back up all the way to the edge of the cliff. And that's fine because once you expose them for what they are, they're off the cliff and there's no way back. There's no way back after they've been exposed. And it's undeniable.
Marco in chat is asking, did I miss your proof? Can we show the comparison again, Steve? So everybody that might not have been here 20 minutes ago can see the comparison and see what we're talking about.
So, boop, boop, boop. So yeah, it looks like the mask has been painted.
Or shoe
Yeah.
polish. I'm betting on some shoe polish.
Thank you, Mitch.
Mitch, welcome. Thank you.
Woo! Joe Panazzo. Sounds like a paisan like me. We need to make a channel and call him out. Well, there's my channel calls out a lot of hoaxes, as does the Tall Ones channel.
That Bigfoot podcast. If you guys have never listened to that Bigfoot podcast, my co-host Wayne and I call out hoaxers. We have been calling out Mike Patterson for years, Todd Standing, Matthew Johnson, you name it. We've talked about it.
Another good podcast too. Nikki Cologne, Sasquatch Secrets. She calls out a lot of hoaxers as well. Yep. Yeah. So there's a number of channels. Woodbugger Farm says the teeth will be the one that busts it if they're the same. I don't think it's the teeth. Well, the teeth are obstructed. We talked about that earlier, Woodbugger. The teeth are obstructed by this velvety cloth that just so coincidentally, this black velvety cloth is in front of the Bigfoot, the Neff's mouth. But look at the lines in the brow. Look at the nose structure. Look at the lip structure, the upper lip structure. It's all the same.
Yeah, there's almost like a W in the between the two eyes on the forehead, on the brow ridge. Yeah. It's perfectly it's visible in both. It's clearly the same thing.
Yeah, it's just been painted.
And eyeballs have been added. If you see some of the upscaled versions, you can get a better look at the eyes. They're definitely like taxidermy eyes. They are dead as a doornail if you get close enough to the eyes and lighten it up enough to see. There's something stuck in there like some kind of an eye. Maybe Bob Hieronymus put his glass eye in there. Maybe he had a spare. Somebody's going to be pissed off about that, I'm sure. I don't believe Bob Hieronymus is Patty. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there.
And thank you, Jay.
Jay, thank you so much. Jay Brett's gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Jay. We're not worthy. Thank you.
We're not worthy.
Sorry, I'm working in the background here trying to get rid of my popping and static in my ear here.
All right. So one of the things I tend to do is let's look at the psychological composite of both these posts. First of all, it's extreme defensiveness and aggression. Both posts are hyper defensive, but instead of relying on facts, the subject lashes out emotionally. The Facebook post focuses on painting skeptics as liars or ignorant, and the message quotes are filled with personal attacks, mockery, and projection. This is common among individuals with fragile egos, inflated self-importance, and a difficulty in accepting cognitive dissonance. And we've talked about cognitive dissonance on this channel before. That's where something goes against your belief system and you just refuse to see facts as they lay out. In hoax cases, this type of hostility replaces evidence and functions as a control mechanism to intimidate dissenters. And it's very subtle to the people that belong to the chat, to their groups and stuff. And, it's not only giving up the hoax, though, and this is where this kind of differs a bit, Brian, when it comes to your common criminal, where you're trying to get them to give it up because of, whatever, just come clean, maybe you were duped, whatever. The problem here is that they have a following that follows them. Yeah. That empowers them. And, that's why people like Jim Jones never bowed down. That's why people like Young Sung Moon never bowed down. because they have these people behind them. Plain and simple. And that's what really makes that whole thing difficult. Another thing is overcompensation through grandiose claims. He references over 1,000 encounters, live streams with prints forming in real time, pepperonis vanishing, objects appearing from other dimensions.
Now, I have made pepperoni vanish. That is a thing. That is a thing.
Especially on pizza.
Let's give credit where credit's due.
Yeah. I'll drink to that. There are extraordinary claims with no verifiable supporting documentation.
Thank you, Marco. Appreciate you, bud. Only the truth here, bud.
Yeah, I told Marco he should probably try a new channel. I told him to check out Sasquatch Ontario.
Yeah, you probably want to watch Sasquatch Ontario.
Yeah.
Go
Something tells me he's probably already over there.
Yeah. You know, why don't you go kiss your little leader's hiney a little bit more?
Kiss your grand poobah.
Let's show the picture of the mask again for Marco. Let's put it up there for Marco. Let Marco see this mask again, Steve. Oh, never mind. You got the slides going on. Never mind. Yeah. Well, he can show a little bit and look at the pictures of the mask.
Marco is Mike. Probably.
Kaju is probably right.
Yes. Well, if that is you, Mike, you know, you're the one who's turned down my invitations to come on and talk. So,
oh, and now let me be clear about that too. People have asked me that. Why are you talking about this guy behind his back? I've given him every opportunity to come on my show, Sasquatch Odyssey, and have this conversation. Yeah. And every single time he says, absolutely not. I have no time to do any podcast with anybody who calls me a hoaxer. So he's not going to do any podcasts that aren't going to roll out the red carpet and drink the Kool-Aid with him. That's just not me. Sorry about it.
Yeah, a lot of people think Marco's Mike. Well, good, Mike. Sit there. Maybe you'll learn something about yourself tonight.
Yeah, we were talking about the sheen on that mask and what could have been used to put it where it was.
Yeah, Marco, how did you get that mask? What kind of paint did you use to put on that?
I'm wondering if instead of paint, did you use shoe polish, black shoe polish? Because black shoe polish will adhere to rubber, and it also has a nice sheen when you buff it with a shoe brush.
Chris, so you are smarter than the average bear, my friend.
Thank you. Smarter than the average bear.
Somebody had asked a question about Dwayne earlier, and Dwayne had a fight with Mike several years ago, and Dwayne came out to admit that the whole thing was a hoax.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, we got the truth.
There's an interesting one too. Marco Polo, Mike Patterson.
Well, anyway, Marco, could you, if you are Mike, did you use black shoe polish on the mask and then buff it with a brush? Because I wondered that the sheen is about right for a certain type of polish that I'm familiar with, and I was wondering if you use that.
Yeah, because for my recreation, I would love to know exactly what you guys used, whether it was you or Dwayne, so I can get it right when I recreate the ridiculous photos. I just want to say a shout out to The Truth Prevails is in the house. The Truth Prevails over on YouTube. I am constantly telling people about The Truth Prevails when it comes to anything related to Dwayne and Mike. So shout out to you for all the great videos. If you ever want to get down to the nitty gritty and just figure this out in like a couple of hours, just go to The Truth Prevails and watch everything they have over there.
Well, I do believe that Marco is Mike. Do you know why? He got really angry when we started breaking down the psychology of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're hitting him. Now I hope he's still watching because
Marco, where did you go? Where did you go? I don't see you.
Go, Marco?
Well, sometimes exposure can be painful, but it's educational as well.
Oh, yeah. Marco says, say it to his face. Y'all sound so full of envy. Do sit and slander the guy. Your so-called proof is ridiculous. Yeah, that is 110%, Mike Patterson.
Mick says in Canada, the #1 black.
Hold on. Marco says, I've listened to you for a long time and thought you were better than this. Disappointing. Marco, You've never even been in our chat before, brother. So you know what? Kiss my butt. You're lying, and that's something Mike Patterson would say, right? You're trying to make out like, oh, okay, Marco. So our proof. We showed you a mask. We showed you letters and words out of. Are you telling me that you're supporting a dude that would say something to a person like Brian that he did? If it is, then you've just showed what kind of character you have. And that's what I'm going to say about that. Anyway, getting back to our profile, here's a pattern of what we call narcissistic injury response.
Right? There we go. Yeah.
All right. In both messages, perceived criticism triggers a disappropriate emotional response. Don't insult my intelligence. You're a little attention whore. You have no idea of the extreme amount of activity. ... You're a pathetic little boy child. This type of response is textbook narcissistic injury, a reaction of rage, shame, belittlement when someone challenges a person's fragile self-image. Hoaxers often operate from a place of narcissism where being exposed threatens their entire self-concept. Right? And wait till you see the bibliography on this.
Likely his entire source of income, too.
Oh, look, Sasquatch. Nikki says Marco has her blocked. So keep watching, Mike. You'll learn, Mike. I'm glad you're here, by the way. Too bad. I would have loved you to reach me out on Facebook and ask to come on, because I would have loved to talk to you and get into your psyche a little bit, because
Mike Neff is also here in the chat for you.
I am not real.
Mike Bad. The mask is real, Mike.
The use of projection and gaslighting. Both posts contain projection, accusing others of doing exactly what he's accused of: hoaxing, lying, clout chasing. See, he made a comment about what? Being envious. What have I got to be? Let's put this on the table. What have I got to be envious for? For, pardon my French, a fucking YouTube channel? Dude, I've been on Fox News. I have been on the History Channel, which I will be again on July 11th. An all-new episode of The Proof is out there. I've been on the Discovery Networks. I've been on NatGeo across worldwide. I've been on Sky Network over in the UK.
Whoa. Put the
I've written seven books. Yes,
you weren't just on NatGeo. You had your own NatGeo special on Loch Ness. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry, but I had to break in there and correct you. Okay.
Yeah. I'm envious of you, brother. I have traveled the world and around the country without having to spend a dime because people want to know my input. So guess what? I get asked to speak at different places all over the country. Yeah, I'm really not that envious of you. In fact, I'm actually feel pretty sad for you that you would need to make stuff up on your pathetic, using these pathetic voices and trying to deceive somebody to make a living. I think that's what's sad.
You're just jealous, Steve.
I think actually, Mike, that you're the one who's the jealous one, because we get respect and you get accused of being a hoaxer, which you are.
Mick, member for 23 months. God bless you, Mick. Thank you, buddy.
And to answer your question, yes, Kaiju, you must have missed that. I've invited him on the show multiple times. He refuses.
Thank you, Mary. And that is something a lot of people don't know about me behind the scenes, that I have a very gentle soul. I can be a firestorm, but I have a big heart. Gaslighting the audience into believing that they're too ignorant to get it, or somehow morally wrong to even question it. This is what they call a powerful deception maintenance tool. When you're lying, the best way to preserve the lie is to attack the questioner's credibility and shift the moral frame. And thank you, Marco, for providing the perfect example. Oh, you're just envious. There is your typical gaslighting 101 and projection. Thank you, Mick.
Oh my goodness, Mick. Oh, sorry, Steve. Here, hang on. Let me get it. Mick gifted 5 Bigfoot memberships. Thank you. Thank you, Thank you so much. We're not worthy. Thank you. Love you, Mick.
Again, the lack of evidence and demand shifting, and that's huge. Patterson repeats his mountain of experiences, but never posts verifiable, testable evidence, not even an unbroken chain of custody or third-party report. There's never anybody that he's taken to up to his area. I mean, granted, at least Todd Standing has done that.
I've been there. I know. I spent 7 days with him.
Instead, what he does is what hoaxers often do. They demand the accuser disprove his claim. Where's the site to buy the mask? Instead of providing evidence for his own. This is burden shifting, a common tactic of fraudsters, pseudoscientists, and internet hoaxers.
Well, you got to think the problems with narcissists. They're so sure of themselves sometimes, and even they're so sure of their lies. They become sure of their lies. They forget that they don't realize that the world is a big place, and more than one person may know what you know.
That's a really good point, Chris, because he doubled down multiple times in that original video back in 2023 when he posted these photos for the first time. He was very adamant that I'm sure some people are going to say this is a mask, but I guarantee you, I challenge you, you're never going to be able to find a mask that looks anything like this because it's not a mask. Right. Because I tell you, I've reached out to the subject that has this mask, and I was told that this was his father's, and it is several decades old. So we're talking early 2000s, maybe even late 90s when this thing was originally purchased. I'm assuming in Canada because that's where it's at. Up in Creemore, I believe is where it's at in Canada. So he was very confident, again, that just the fact that you talked about that in your first video, hey, here's some photos of a Sasquatch. These are life-changing. But, oh, by the way, I'm sure some people are going to say it's a mask, but I guarantee you won't be able to find the mask.
Right.
Overly confident because they altered it, number one. And at that point, it's 2 decades old. Yes. How many of these can be in existence for people to find? They're probably not being mass-produced currently. You can't just go out to the local store, your Spirit Halloween or whatever in October and pick this mask up. So he was very confident. I'm sure he is probably flabbergasted. And some internet sleuth took the time to go down the rabbit hole and use the technology to find this particular listing and that particular mask.
Yes. I think they actually James is in the channel. James, the truth prevails.
Yes.
And he's out there. And hello to James. Good seeing you again. And I'm glad to be working together somehow a little bit on this.
You mean to bring this up, Steve?
There's a couple of things. The first one, especially about why he won't be on shows. That's from The Truth Prevails.
Oh, yeah.
He likes to control the narrative, and consequently, well, it's not only about narrative control, but it's also about maintaining a face where he will not be challenged, where he has to provide verifiable evidence or answer the tough questions. Like the last thing he wants to do is answer a question about that recording of Dwayne saying, "I am not real," or the fisheye photograph that Dwayne also exposed that Mike posted this picture of a fisheye claiming it was the eye of the Neff.
Yes.
And then Dwayne showed a picture in the cabin of the eye that matched up to this picture that Mike had posted. Everybody forgot about that, not me.
No.
And the fact that their area is right across in this kind of rural suburban neighborhood with cottages up and down. The area they're doing all these videos is right across the street from the cottage. So all of these...
it's not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence.
Yeah.
So So what we have is based on language and behavior, the subject shows signs of fantasy proneness, narcissistic traits, grandiosity, sensitivity to criticism, paranoid ideation, believes that people are conspiring to ruin him, manipulative tendencies such as gaslighting and burden shifting, low tolerance for accountability, and even possible delusional thinking, if not a conscious hoax. Now, I'll put up this chart, and here is a hoax detection table. And what we see is what is coming up to be that a lot of those boxes ticked off are all not good signs. Verifiability, none. Indication hoax. The tone, aggressive, hyper defensive. Indication fabrication. Consistency, unverifiable anecdotes. Indication is embellishment. Evidentiary strategy shifts burden to others. Indication is a common hoax pattern. And finally, psychological profile of a narcissistic ego. Indication hoaxer. So based on all this, he has a high likelihood of a hoaxer caught in the act. Behavioral profile is a textbook for someone maintaining a fraudulent or delusional narrative. He has escalating hostility, refusal to provide third-party verifiables, reliance on emotional manipulation are strong signs that he is not a person defending a real phenomenon or even a perceived phenomenon, but one protecting a hoax or deeply entrenched fantasy. While there is a small chance he believes the story on his own, example, delusion rather other than conscious fraud, the calculated deflections, bullying, and projection suggest a conscious effort to control perception and silence exposure. And that's it in a nutshell.
And I want to say this too, because I think this is somehow, I feel like it's getting lost, and maybe it's just my delusional mind working here, but I feel like it's getting lost in translation, because when I posted my original post, I posted it in the coalition group and several other Facebook groups, including my own. And by and large, there were a lot of people making comments. Oh, he's a known hoaxer. He's been busted years ago. This is old news. Why are you even posting about this? And I want to make it clear. The post is about the mask being found, because I think this is something that needs to be said to people so that we all understand it. I know Brent and Nikki and you, Steve, and Chris obviously get it. But there's a lot of people who don't get how rare it truly is, in my opinion, to have a smoking gun when it comes to a Bigfoot hoax. We've been looking for it with Todd Standing for years. I think the closest thing we've ever gotten, in my opinion, to that is the YouTuber that was up there several years ago, found the gloves, the gorilla gloves, hands, whatever, in the back of his SUV.
A lot of people forget years ago, a guy from the Bigfoot forums found Todd's ad having Todd's phone number on there looking for actors and actresses.
There you go. So there's two examples of possible smoking guns. I wouldn't say those are red flag 100% smoking guns. I think they're probably warm. But this is a smoking gun when it comes to this, in my opinion. It's clear that it's not the exact mask, but it is a mask that's identical to what was used to perpetrate this hoax. So frankly, we shouldn't even be having any conversation outside of, yeah, he's a hoaxer. But I think it's important to bring it back to, it is rare to find a smoking gun like has been found. And I'm not taking credit for it. Whoever this person is on Reddit is the person who found this listing and the mask. So they deserve all the credit for this, but it is a smoking gun in this case that lays a hoax to rest, at least that part of the experiences. Now, it doesn't lay to rest the vocalizations and all the other things that he can claim, but this particular piece of evidence that has been purported to be the face of a Sasquatch is a freaking altered Halloween mask. Into discussion. And I just think that's important for everybody to keep in mind how rare that is. It doesn't happen often. We don't have these kind of conversations often, that there's some big, Rick Dyer was caught, but Rick Dyer admitted to his hoax. He makes no qualms about being a hoaxer. He laughs in the face of Bigfoot. That's a rare thing in these hoaxes. Most of them are lifelong, just like Todd Standing and just like Mike Patterson.
Well, Rick Dyer. Go ahead, Steve.
There's a ton more out there besides them. Some with more popularity than others. You know, we talk about what was his name? I forget now, but there was that rural couple that always goes out and does research, and you know, he's like a Sasquatch whisperer and stuff like that, right? And OT here says, I don't get it. Why hoax Bigfoot? If you had a video picture, you won't become a celebrity. See, it's not about that. What it's about is gaining a following, feeling that important rush of being the all-knowing leader of this community because I know everything. Because what I say is, and of course, we see these tendencies get overinflated by, you know, the black and white. You're either with me or against me. You either believe what I say, you're out of the club, stuff like that. And you have a bunch of people that want to believe so bad, and then you have the people that want to rise above the crust. For example, that guy Jonathan Yeoman, who put the peeping Bigfoot out there, he had quite a really bad background, and he was just looking to belong and be important in the community. Well, that's what a lot of hoaxers want to do, is they want to belong and look important in the community. Remember, we talked to Alan, our good friend Alan now, who made up that story. And when we got to it, he was saying, well, yeah, I just kind of wanted to feel important and wanted to belong. And, you know, that's the reason why people do that. And somebody also asked me a question, has anybody ever admitted to a hoax and then just left? Yes, absolutely. There's quite a few. The interstate video hoax. I remember chatting with them. I said, can you tell me what happened? And they were getting ready. I guess they were getting ready to do a new one. And they turned around and it was great. I go, listen, just admit to me that it was a hoax. You're not fooling anybody. You're not giving me any information. Just level with me. He says, yeah, my brother and I were kind of bored and we just did this. Boom. Never heard from him again.
Yeah.
You know, so it does happen, but it depends. It depends on the type of hoaxer. When you have a hoaxer that's in it for the ego, that's when they hang in there and stay in it.
Well, and you mentioned Rick Dyer earlier too. I mean, Rick Dyer he did not come out and admit a hoax in advance. No, he was one of those people that backed up and doubled down right to the edge of the cliff. And the only way that he ever admitted it was after it was exposed beyond the shadow of a doubt. Undeniable.
Until I pulled that foot out of the freezer.
Yes. Right. It was still
until I went on Fox News to say, hey, this is bullshit.
It was still a Bigfoot in the freezer until Steve pulled the rubber foot out. Yes. So he was one of those guys, and I love those guys. I love taking those guys down because they'll dig in and they'll back themselves right up to the edge of the cliff. You know, they will never admit it any wrongdoing because they're narcissists. They've been doing it all their lives. They're liars, and they're very good at it. And I absolutely love exposing those type of people.
Now, Grant says, once you have a thought of hoaxing, it's time to quit. Well, here's the thing. Most of your hoaxers come into it ready to hoax. They're not long-term researchers that decide one day, I'm going to pull a fast one.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
They're few and far between.
They're looking at it as a business.
Right.
Troy's asking, why hasn't Sonny Vader come clean yet? Here's the thing, and maybe you can chime in on this. I don't know a ton about Sonny Vader. I have talked about him on my show. Wayne and I have kind of exposed him, but I don't know that I've ever heard him talk and claim or make claims about any of the videos. Now, I could be wrong here. He just seems to record these weird looking alleged Sasquatch videos that people see as an alleged Sasquatch. Yeah. But is he really alleging that, or is he just putting them out there and letting people talk about them?
Right.
I've never heard the guy talk. I've never seen him post anything about, oh, yes, this was a Sasquatch video taken by John, who remains anonymous from Washington State. He's just putting the videos out there. Now, I believe they're 100% BS. They're some of the worst ones I've ever seen, in my opinion, if they're going to be hoaxed videos. But I don't know, do you call that a hoaxer, or is he just being deceptive by putting these things out there and letting people form their opinions around, oh, that's a Bigfoot throwing a stick? What do you feel about Sonny Vader?
I think the proof is, I mean, how many videos are you going to have of a Bigfoot?
Right. Well, if I remember right, Sonny Vader's channel, he shows stuff like he's got a video camera set up in the woods, and they're showing an old abandoned tent or something, and then this guy in a hairy suit comes and throws rocks or throws sticks at it or something. But best I can remember, Brian, he never says anything. He just makes this video and then puts it on his channel, and then lets people watch it. Which I can see that it's entertainment.
If you look at all the phenomenon that exists in the world, let's go with the three biggest ones. You have Bigfoot, you have UAPs, UFOs, you have ghosts. If you're going out and videotaping a ghost every day, a UFO every day, or a Bigfoot every day, guess what you likely are? Whoop.
Oh, Brian.
We dropped Brian.
Brian dropped out. Well, Kaiju Ninja 1985 says, "Is there a difference between entertainment and hoaxing with Sonny?"
Oh, here we are.
I don't think Sonny is promoting a hoax. He's not saying this is so and so.
But how about the titles of the videos?
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't remember.
The titles of the video do say it Bigfoot.
Okay. Well, yeah. That's.
So you may not have. You don't have to say anything. It's what you write. Not, is this Bigfoot? Could this be Bigfoot? That Bigfoot seen at blah blah blah.
Yes.
There's your answer right there. It's a money grab. It's a YouTube money grab, right? And that's what a lot of YouTube channels do nowadays. Is I'm going to put out this BS. I'm going to put AI photos. and we're seeing this a lot on Bigfoot groups as well. These people, just the other day in the Bigfoot Encounters group, there was a guy who posted 3 pictures within a couple of hours. One of, this is a picture I took 7 years ago, and it looks like pareidolia. You really can't see nothing in it. Then a little while later, he says, this is a picture my mother took when she was on an Alaskan cruise. And sure enough, it's an Alaskan mountain. If you look at the mountain with Google Lens, and it's got a little red circle on it. But the problem with the picture was it was taken from like a helicopter. It wasn't taken from a cruise ship. It wasn't taken from the perspective of being on a boat looking up. It was taken looking at a mountain looking down. What was the boat flying? So that made no sense. And then he posted something else. And then I looked at his first picture. He said, this picture was from 7 years. This picture I took 7 years ago. Well, I found multiple posts on TinEye of this picture being used for various different posts all over the internet beginning in 2022. So he just lifted this picture up, put a story on it. These are the types of people. Now, for what reason they do that, I haven't the slightest idea, other than they're just trying to gaslight and have some fun. Maybe the prankster type of joker, right? Which we used to see a lot too. That the interstate video hoax, the pranksters are the easiest ones to get to admit, you got me. It was just a joke, yada, yada, yada. And they move on, right? But when you have somebody that is either financially motivated or they are trying to belong to a particular group and try to infiltrate a group and become like a leader or a cult type of figure, that's where they're more entrenched and are likely to double down and fight and be nasty, just like Marco was here in the chat earlier. And that's the reason why they do that. And all I wish is these people would take a good, serious look at themselves and understand that you're the bad guys, not us. We're out here looking for the truth of this mystery. So, of course, we're going to be very objective when we look at some of these things. And they bastardize us, the good guys, and people that want to believe in Bigfoot so flippin' badly, right? Are demonizing the people that are doing the hardest work. Well, I can go out tomorrow and make a bogus bullshit video of a Bigfoot tomorrow. That's easy. The hard thing is talking to witnesses, understanding whether or not what they're seeing is either a Bigfoot or something other than Bigfoot, getting out there, doing the logistics, buying the equipment, spending your own time and gas money to go out there and investigate the claims. That's why we break these people down when they hoax. They're taking the shortcut, and I don't give two craps whether they have 1,000 viewers or 1 million subs on YouTube. I'm doing the hard work. That's all I need to know. Right? What if I got to be? I don't have a thing to be envious, because what I do is real. And what Brian does is real. And what Chris does is real. Sorry, Marco. What Mike does, if it's not you himself, what you do is baloney. It's garbage. What we do is the real stuff.
I reviewed,
and that's why we don't see Bigfoot every time we go out there. We don't get an audio. We don't get a video. We don't get a picture. We don't get things apporting out of the thin air like you do every time we go out. Because we're in it for the reality of it, not for the baloney in it.
I went back and reviewed Sonny Vader's channel, and over the last 12 years...
Amen, Texas Jack. Amen.
He's posted 13 videos over the last 12 years. Okay. And yeah, some of them, the titles are a little misleading. But as far as being a hoaxer that's trying to create a community, I don't think so.
Right.
No, it's a money grab, man. I mean, you look at, I think that last video, he's got like 471,000 views. When you get a channel with decent traction on YouTube, you can make $10 to $15 or more per 1,000 views. You do the math there.
Right.
Yeah.
If you do one of those every couple of months or whatever, you're going to make money at it. So that's why some of those people do what they do.
Grant asked, how do all those Bigfoots have time to do those vlogs on YouTube?
But I will say this for Sonny, though. That's a nice bear skin. It certainly is.
There it is. Mick says, I'm only envious of one thing. He's not as cute as my Yorkshire Terrier. That is true.
There you go.
I have a good face for radio.
Yorkies.
Yorkies. That's true. At least Vader put some effort into his hoaxes. Very true.
You know, the things like showing a fish eye. Okay, well, the fish eye was a smoking gun. And the thing about the making recordings while you're inhaling, okay, that's speaking while inhaling to create a reverse flow over your vocal cords. Okay, that's simple, and that's been exposed. That's a smoking gun. And now we have the mask. Well, the mask is on the way, okay, but we have photos of it. That's a smoking gun. That's 3. And how many smoking guns does it take to prove once and for all this guy's a hoaxer?
And by the way, if people like Marco think I'm just pulling it out of my ass, here's the bibliography for that information you just read. Right? So this isn't pulling my thoughts out of thin air. Right? There's a bibliography to it.
It's not like the marbles that Mike sees.
That's right. That is thin air, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Possible.
Jen says, don't forget to knock that like button. That's probably a good one.
Thank you, Jen. That's good.
And if anybody didn't see, for a quick, let's take a collective breather. The 4th of July message we had this week was pretty awesome. Here it is.
They say freedom rings, but in the woods, freedom knocks loud.
So there's a little, put a smile on folks' faces.
I love that.
Yeah. So, Chris, should we take a quick break before we do our wrap up?
Well,
do our 3-minute break, or you just want to keep on going?
Well, you know, it's up to you, man. I could push through, but
well, I'm going to take a quick break. Why don't you guys push through for a second?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
All right, hang on.
If Let me go through some of these questions here. I had starred, or Steve starred most of them. I've been angry tonight. I'm sorry, guys.
Sometimes it's okay not to be okay, Chris.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, when you're up against narcissists, and this guy is absolutely a narcissist. And some of the things in those comments that I read when he was commenting to you, Brian, was really really rude, and exposed himself deeply for what he is.
And, I struggled a little bit with putting that out there because I told Steve earlier, Steve and I talked for probably an hour earlier today when we were getting ready for the show. And I told him then I struggled with that because I don't like being the main character in any of this. And I didn't put that out there as a victim or to become the main character. It simply was, and I said this to Mike, a lot of people don't care about your Bigfoot hoaxes. Right? There's plenty of people who say, yeah, he can do whatever he wants. It's entertainment, blah, blah, blah. Everybody who posts pictures of Bigfoot is a hoaxer because they don't exist. All those things, right? We've heard it all. I put that out there because I think it speaks to his character.
Yes.
And it's just another, I talk about this all the time on my show, on that Bigfoot podcast. I talk about the totality of the circumstances, right? It's never one or two things. The truth is always somewhere in the middle, but it's always about the totality of the circumstances. And like you said, you called out the 3 smoking guns with him already. If that weren't enough, I think Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles can see the fact that this mask is the same as those photos. Yeah, exactly. But there are still people out there who are going to deny that. So I thought, you probably shouldn't have said those things. To me personally. It was clear what he was trying to do. He's trying to get under my skin. Look, dude, I've dealt with that stuff my entire life. None of that stuff phases me. I could give a shit less what he thinks about me and my personal life. But I put it out there publicly because I wanted it to be a reflection, a true reflection of who he is behind the scenes. And I think Steve said it at the beginning of the show. If he's going to do that, if he's going to talk to me that way privately, that says a lot about his character. And if his character is addressing me that way, I've never talked to him that way. I've never sent him messages about personal things. I've always kept it, do you want to come on my show? Let's talk about your evidence. I think it's bullshit. Defend yourself is basically all I've done. And he chose to go a personal route and to attack me personally. And again, I think it speaks to his character. So,
that's exactly what narcissists do. They know. They try to determine, and they think they know what will push your buttons, and so they use that against you as a personal attack. But that's just logical fallacy, and that's a way to move the argument away from what the facts are. And so the best thing you could have done was say, well, look, my personal life really doesn't have anything to do with the fact that what you've posted there are photos of a mask. So let's get back to the mask. Well, he won't want to do that. Let's move it on to something else because he knows he's busted. He knows you're busted. You're busted, and it's funny. It's funny.
Wow, Chris is particularly vicious tonight.
I'm sorry.
I love it. I'm seeing the youthful me out there in Chris tonight rather than.
Well, that's the thing. Excuse me. I shouldn't say I don't like narcissists, because I do enjoy taking them apart.
Well, and another reason is that the reason why they go on the attack is to bully, is to, try to get you to back down.
Yes.
And that's why I laugh. Again, you're just envious. There's more gaslighting, right?
Yes.
Because I don't believe what he says, because we have evidence to show otherwise. Now, all of a sudden, I'm envious. No, I'm not envious whatsoever. It's probably the number one hoaxer-based comment we will see is, you're just jealous.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I can go to bed at night knowing that people on this channel subscribe to my channel. They give gift memberships, they super chat, they do all kinds of great things because they like who I am, they like the material I put out there, and I put out real stuff. I don't need to go make up stuff. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of real stories out there. And there's a lot of good people out there like Brian. I mean, Brian, shoot, you and I, we talk quite a bit, actually. And Brian's a great dude. Hopefully someday we'll end up crossing paths out there on the old road. There's a lot of good people in this research, a lot of good people.
Yeah.
And should I do my shameless plug now, Chris? Let's go back. We missed doing that. So some of these good people I'll be seeing this year. Number one at the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival. That's coming up just in over a month from now, August. What do I got? 7th through the 10th next month, August. And then just a couple of weeks after that, the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Adventure. Again, another great bunch of people. Then we move on to September 27th, the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival, a free event, great time, as is Hocking Hills. Hocking Hills is also a free event unless you want to hear the speakers, and then there's a fee for the speakers. Thanks, Mick. And of course, the New York Bigfoot Conference. Somebody's saying barbecue in the Smokies. I'm all about that barbecue.
I'm definitely going to be eating some of Troy's barbecue up at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference here at the end of this month. It's coming up pretty quickly. So,
well, you know what? I may have time to actually get a vendor table for that event next year. So we're definitely going to
cool. I know some people that are going to be speaking there in 2026 up in the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference. It's top secret information. I can't tell everybody what it is now, but I do know a couple of speakers. It's going to be a cool time.
It's another event I want to get down to at least once, and then there's another event in West Virginia I want to get to eventually. There's a lot of great events, but that's what it's about for me. It's about meeting people, pressing the flesh, talking to them, hearing their stories, their encounters, enjoying their company. It's so much different than interacting, and like. I've been on expeditions with Ron Bowles and I went to the Texas Bigfoot Conference and met a great bunch of people like Mike Walty from the Bigfoot Texas Rangers, Shelley Covington, Montana. Awesome individual. Actually meeting Craig Woolheater first time face to face. Lyle Blackburn, I've been to a lot of shows with him, as Ken Gerhardt, who's now a New Yorker. It's so good seeing old friends. That's what it's about. It's about the connections you make. And it's about, like I said, hearing the stories, seeing their reaction. And it's my honor to give them a little relief and letting them unload onto me. It's like an experience no other. So am I envious? Hell no. That's what a real researcher wants in their life. I do this eventually for the witnesses, and I'm sure Brian does the same, as does Chris. I'll give you guys the floor for a little bit. I've babbled on enough.
Yeah, that's very well said. I think anybody who's ever met me and had any interactions with me knows that. So it goes without saying. It's baffling to me that the thing that I despise the most, which is hoaxing and misleading people, seems to be, as we talked about earlier, what sells. And it's really disheartening sometimes because some of these hoaxers, like you said, I mean, there are tons we haven't even talked about publicly. I certainly haven't talked about them publicly, but I'm aware of them. They have a huge social media following and they're making tons of money off of these hoaxes. And people are just buying it hook, line, and sinker. And it's really frustrating when you bust your ass to do it the right way. Try to be honest and open. And I think the thing that I have learned, there's no thinking. I know this now. I've learned this over the last couple of years. When you deviate from your lane, I'm a podcaster. I create content. We run a production company. We have multiple podcasts in our production company. So Primarily, I am a podcaster, I'm an author, but I'm also a researcher. I go out in the woods and I live in the fucking woods looking for Bigfoot literally every day. I've been on expeditions on other continents looking for these creatures. I finally had my experiences. I got to see these things 3 times in 2 days last year out in the Pacific Northwest. So it's difficult when you get outside your lane. And this is something that I found just doing the podcast and then getting more serious about the research. The more you seem to deviate in this community, the more you open yourself up to your critics. Because when I'm just doing the podcast and I'm entertaining people, everybody's happy. But the second I start finding evidence and having experiences of my own because I'm putting myself in those situations, the critics come out of the woodwork. So I get it, but I'm going to continue to do that because all of the things that you just said, those are the things that I enjoy as well. I love going to conferences. I love doing these speaking gigs. I love doing book signings. I love talking to people about their experiences. In person is like no other. We get to do this all the time, or I do this every day interviewing people over the internet, but talking to them face to face is a completely different experience that I don't get often enough. So that's why I do 12 to 15 events in person every year because of that. So that's what it's really all about for me. And by and large, this community is filled with truly amazing people. Some of my extended family, I call them my chosen family. The majority of them are in this community, but there are a few bad apples. And it's up to us, the good people, the good guys, as you so eloquently said, Steve, to weed these people out of the community. And we are the only ones who can do it. We are the only ones that have the power not to buy the bullshit and not to consume the clickbait and just stick to the real research. It's not always sexy. It's not always the most entertaining thing, but it's the right thing if you're in this for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Hear, hear. Chris, OT had a question up there. Want to throw that up?
Yeah. OT says, Steve, serious question. Will Bigfoot ever be proven? And if so, for such a novel species, I'm sure a body will be required. What do you think happens after that, both in the community and legislatively? Good question.
All right, we can kill the question down there. So here's my thought on that. First part of that question is, will Bigfoot ever be discovered? I sure as hell hope so, and I think it will be. Part of that, you said that you believe a body will be required. Now, I'm going to stop everybody right there because when DNA evidence first came out, we all thought, and that was the truth, that, yeah, we're going to have this DNA, but we're not going to be able to prove where it came from. So we need a body still. Not so true, because since then, we have genome mapping. So we can see where it came from now, right? We can take a DNA sample, break it down and say, oh my God, this thing is X amount this, or compare its mapping to a human, compare its mapping to a gorilla, compare its mapping to a billy ape or a bonobo. And we can see where it comes from. So we don't necessarily need a body anymore because we can do genetic mapping. We can do the genome mapping. We can see its ancestors from its DNA mapping. We can see where it came from, where it lived from its genome mapping. So I don't think necessarily a body is necessary anymore, like people have always said. Now, yeah, it's necessary for people because they want to see it on the slab. They want to see, seeing is believing. And certain people just don't like looking at a report saying, hey, we've genomed this thing. But science may say, hey, this is a real thing. We've actually have this sample that comes up and we've mapped it. And here it is. So it does have, will it prove it 100%? I'm not sure. But what it would do is it would definitely get science to spin up and start doing their work, because us as citizen scientists / investigators / researchers, we will never prove to science Bigfoot is real unless, 1, we bring in a body, or 2, we give evidence to a scientist who can prove it to science. Because it's the scientists that prove to science, not us. It takes a scientist to do that. Just like in a criminal law, in the criminal world, an investigator doesn't prove whether a person is guilty or not of breaking the law. That's the prosecutor's idea. And what the investigator's job is to do is pass that information off to the prosecutor, and it's their job to take it home. So I think that answers all the questions there.
Tom brought up a good point here. Tom says, why haven't we gotten the eDNA of Sasquatch yet? I think that's coming, Tom. And as the technology advances, that's one of the most exciting things one of the most exciting newer technologies that I think is going to expose Bigfoot. His DNA is going to be nabbed as the technology increases. One of these days, they're going to be able to go grab a cup of or a little test tube of water out of any river in the United States or Pacific Northwest, wherever, and they're going to be able to pour that in a machine, and they're going to say, okay, yeah, we got this DNA, and here's a Bigfoot DNA, and we're going to run this back. We're going to map this. So it's coming. It's coming.
Thank you, Harry.
Love eating.
Another part of that question is, and I see Poncho Zorch kind of giving us a little heads up too, is that he doesn't really want people to bother him. We don't bother them. It's best not allow the people to bother them. We've been here. We've been coexisting for hundreds of years on this continent. We're not bothering them. They're adapting. Primates are adaptable, by the way, and that even is a more big thing. And all animals are adaptable if you think about it. Like you see more skunks and raccoons in urban areas than you necessarily see out in the forest because they've adapted to saying, "Hey, these guys give us free food."
Right.
We can scavenge a lot easier if we hang out in these urban areas or these suburban areas rather than trying to forage out in the woods. So you actually see animals, again, Darwinism, the strongest survive. And the fact that we're still having Sasquatch reports after a couple hundred years of the Europeans coming to the continent and doing what we've done to the continent, I don't see how we can bother them, whether they're proven or not. It's still hard to, it's not like we prove they're real and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. It's going to be just as hard to find the second one or the third one. And then by that time, there'll be appropriate legislation in place because if you think about it, it would be the only North American primate other than a Homo sapien, us, human being. So it would probably get protection quite quickly, I would assume. So.
Okay. Disabled my equalizer. Let's see if that helps. I'm sorry, guys, but during the show, I'm trying to mute out because.
Oh wow! I think it did. Okay. I think that was the issue.
I hope so.
That was the issue.
We'll see if it shows up here in a minute. But I'll try to mute out during the show because all I'm hearing is.
Yeah, we're not hearing that anymore in the least bit now, even though moving, because you used to move around a little bit and you would get that crack, snap, crackle, and pop. You're not doing that now. So your equalizer is probably overcompensating, causing that.
I don't know. I hope this lasts. We'll see.
No problem, OT. My pleasure. So any other questions up there? I know we got a bunch start, Chris. So go ahead. You're the question master here.
Let's see.
I'm
trying to figure out which ones we've covered and which ones we haven't.
Just pick one. If we've already covered it, we'll say we.
The Truth Prevails says another one of these masks has been found. So they were mass produced. Stay tuned for more details over the next few days.
I love it.
Yeah, and James has really been after the Sasquatch Ontario hoax for many years. Yeah. So kudos to him for hanging in there.
Kaiju Ninja 1985 says, do you think Mike Patterson is delusional in that he believes he is hoaxing or being hoaxed? Maybe he's not aware psychologically he's hoaxing.
Oh no, he's hoaxing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think he knows. I think he knows.
I mean, look at the misrepresentation when he's trying to claim this area is deep in the woods, yada yada yada. And it was actually The Truth Prevails that showed that It was actually the property right across the street from this like rural suburban area from the cottage. So it was literally a couple hundred feet into the wood line that they were doing all these videos with the Neff.
But that's all they need because they travel via portals and they just materialize, Steve. They don't need the woods, man. They can be right here. They could be at the mall for all we know.
You know what? If they need to use the bathroom, they can use the portal potty.
Yes, they can use the portal potty while they're. I've always wondered why it is that the Bigfoot chose marbles to just materialize marbles and push them through the portals. I'll have to ask.
Maybe they're trying to say Mike lost his marbles.
It could be. He lost his marbles and he's bringing them back. Neff is bringing him his marbles.
Oh, boy.
All right, next up there, Chris.
Let's see. Well, hang on. Poncho Zort says, where can we learn to collect DNA by someone in the Bigfoot industry?
Well, there's a couple of people.
Yeah.
Dr. Darby Orcutt, Dr. Haskell Hart, or you can go to Squatchdetective.com, go to Squatch D University.
Yeah.
And we have quite the breakdown on how to collect DNA.
That'll show you how to collect it. And then after you collect the DNA properly, then you contact Dr. Darby Orcutt. And maybe, depending on what you got, he may be able to get it analyzed.
Now, if you get a scat sample, I do not suggest taste testing it. Just bang it up properly and send it out.
Yeah. That needs the ew sound effect.
It's nutty. Brian's just shaking his head.
Oh,
ew, that's dirty.
Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, wait. Hold on. We forgot the real effect.
That's it. That's the one.
Whoa.
That's okay. We could use 3.
At least we haven't heard this tonight.
Get me a Snapple.
Somebody said that in the chat. It's time for a Snapple.
That is a running gag here and a inside joke amongst the Squatch DTV followers.
Well, let me put that. This is an interesting comment I found. Troy Two Fingers in Tennessee. Welcome, my Tennessee neighbor there. He said, the coons and possums quit coming to my house when I fenced in the backyard. Now something uses the area behind my fence as a corridor. Yeah.
They adapt. Well, anyway, Chris, it is 10:54. We better start doing the wind-up.
Well,
how quick this went.
I imagine. Yeah. It goes fast when we have a great guest. Thank you, Brian, for joining us tonight. And I want to say thanks to all our listeners out there and everybody in the chat. Man, we appreciate you guys so much. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps us with the YouTube algorithm. They tell us. Hit the thumbs up button if you hadn't already. Hit it on the way out. We appreciate you guys. And I say this a lot because I mean it. I know we have the greatest audience we could ever hope to have. And this is only possible because of you guys. Thank you so much for joining us and hanging out with us on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We really appreciate you guys. And
Brian, Brian, any last words from Brian tonight? Where can we find your stuff? Go ahead and promote everything you want.
Yeah, you guys can check out. I'd love to have you guys subscribe over on the Sasquatch Odyssey YouTube channel. I don't do a ton of posting over there.
Time's up. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. The show is primarily on audio podcast. You can get it anywhere. I do that Bigfoot podcast with my co-host Wayne. If you want more of this kind of stuff, that's where we have these kind of conversations. I also host a show where I narrate stories. Not everybody wants to come on and do an interview, so there are tons of stories that get submitted. I pull a lot of stories from the BFRO and other databases that I have access to, and I narrate those. That show is called Backwoods Bigfoot Stories. You can find that on YouTube as well as all of the podcast apps, Spotify, Apple, all those places. I also host a full-time show that comes out a couple of times a week, and it is called Disturbing History. So if you're into weird history shows, stories about presidential history, weird things. I'm working on a show right now about the Tulsa Massacre. If you're not familiar with that, it's a really scary and unbelievable story, but it's part of our history. So that's called Disturbing History. You can find that anywhere. And I do a true crime podcast called The Guilty Files. It's a 3-part anthology true crime podcast that Danny actually hosts with me. We do 3 parts. I do a show, he does a show, and then we do a co-hosted show on Friday. So if you're into true crime, check out The Guilty Files. I have 2 books out, Sasquatch Unleashed, and also the other one is Born Wild, Coda's Odyssey, Volume 1. You can find those anywhere you find fine books. Amazon, you can go to hanger1publishing.com and find those and pick up a copy of the books as well. That's it.
Why, thank you, sir. And thank you for coming on tonight. As always, it's always a great show when we have you on, Brian. And we always cover these big controversial topics every time you're on, too. And just,
I'm an attention whore. What can I say? But yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for asking me. I always have a good time, and I appreciate you guys and love the audience. Thanks for everybody for being with us tonight.
Good.
Including you, Marco.
Hello.
And Steve, real quick, I wanted to mention that I noticed that John at Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks put up a new video, a new documentary video on his YouTube channel. So everybody check John's site out, Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. It's good stuff. I watched it.
Yes. And a neighbor of mine, too, kind of. In the swatting world, that's a neighbor. Anyway, folks, I thank you all for coming up and showing up tonight. It's been an incredible journey tonight. As always, we appreciate everything. We'll be back here on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/@SquatchDTV. Be sure to check me out and check out all the information over at Squatchdetective.com, where you can find where to get books that I've written, all 7 of them. Where you can pick up the podcast, the videos, and the events I will be speaking at or attending. And stop by and swing over and say hello if you see me. Pancho says, maybe start a show on exposing hoaxers. That's been done. And truthfully, it tends to get very repetitive, very negative, very quickly. And so we do it ad hominem when it's needed to be. So, it's not something we shy away from here. That's for certain. But we do kind of a variety show. Occasionally we'll do an interview. Occasionally we'll do a science or a topic and go over the science behind certain things. Sometimes we'll talk about a media event. Sometimes we'll talk about having a guest on like Brian or a researcher or a witness. And sometimes we'll have a really bad Bigfoot movie.
Really bad
Bigfoot movie, which we had last Wednesday night. Woo, check it out. It's in archive. Anyway, again, everybody, I want everybody to stay safe. Have a good week. And most of all, God bless and keep on squatting.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch DTV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member. And it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch DTV. Keep on squatching.